What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros podcast. I'm your host, Residentdarrell, and tonight I've got a really excellent panel, a panel of experts for the topic at hand. We're going to be talking about Grail games. We're going to be answering the question, what is a Holy Grail game? And what are some of the Grail games that we are after? So with me tonight is my bearded brother from another mother. It's the Beardednerd. What's up, Zach?
What's going on?
Glad to have you, man. As we missed you the past couple weeks, and I know that you and I've got this awesome challenge thing going on that we're doing seemingly month after month. And I don't know about you, I'm having a friggin' blast with this. This has been so good for me, so good for my soul.
It felt real good to finally get something today. I'll tell you that. I was like, oh my gosh, now I don't have to go to GameStop and pick up something in the clearance section.
What's awesome is you got something better than what I got right now. So for me, it's like, well, yes, I'm losing. I gotta do better. I gotta do better. So awesome. Glad to have you. Also, we have our good friend Thomas Crawford. How are you doing, man? So glad to have you again so soon.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you having me back on. You can always find me at SaberRider13 on Twitch, and hopefully coming up to some other things going forward. But I look forward to this today because there's so many great topics we can hit on, and there's so many great games and treasures that people may have forgotten about or just wondering, like, I never knew that existed, or wow, that's a totally different way of looking at it, because there's just so many ways you can go with this, because there's things that you grew up loving, or things that you saw at the arcade, or even things that you just saw, like, I don't know if you remember when Funko Land was around, that could change how you see things. Because remember, Funko was one of the very few bricks and mortar stores that allowed gamers to come in and play the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, or whatever console was on site.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Freaking, I love it. I miss it. I've got some really good Funko Land stories, man. I picked up some great stuff there. So awesome. Well, I am glad to have you back, man. We had you on for the Ghost of Tsushima Game of the Month Club, which I know it's called it was supposed to be the Loot Bros Game Club, but Game of the Month seems to be what has stuck. So the Game of the Month Club, and I will go ahead and announce now, guys, that the next Game of the Month Club is going to be Siphon Filter. So that is the winner. We put up a poll in Patreon. All the patrons came over and they voted. It was a 3-way tie. I announced a 3-way tie. We put a poll in on our Facebook. I tried to put it in Discord, but I totally botched it. Excuse me. It wouldn't take my poll, which there's a joke there somewhere. But that being said, we got the poll out there. Everybody voted. It was a unanimous decision. Freaking whatchamacallit.
You should open up the one for Siphon Filter with their theme song. If you remember the old commercial, and it was a very techno commercial. It was like Siphon Filter, and it's like, it's like a little techno music in the background. They're sniping somebody. Imagine back in the day where you could actually have somebody getting sniped in a TV commercial with techno music.
That would be something. That would definitely be something. So, but we're very excited. So the cool thing is Siphon Filter, you don't just have to play the PlayStation version. Okay. You don't have to play the PlayStation version just because that's the one on the subscription. You guys can play the PlayStation version. You can play the PS1 version. You can play the PS1 version on PSP. You can play the bootleg version. So yeah, definitely
classic.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So it's very cool. I'm going to be playing the PlayStation version with trophies. So I'm excited. I'm very, very, very excited. So, all right. That being said,
you're badass.
Go ahead.
I said, if you get a platinum out of that, you're a badass, because those controls, even on the Xbox or with the trophies, it's still difficult controls, and you're like, now I know why I hated this game, but loved it back in the day.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I am super, super stoked. So, we're going to go ahead and jump into some of our housekeeping real fast. We're going to toast to our Patreon producers and give a shout out to Redbeard Rick, Sadek, My Name is Mayo, and MZ Nitro. I just want to just say this real quick. I got a little spaced out there for a minute because I got a lead on some pretty cool stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And like they messaged me, the address of the location says they're in Columbia. So I'm like, hey, I'm in Irmo. That's like right beside Columbia, like maybe 15 minutes. Technically, my address is a Columbia address. But and they're like, okay, cool. We're in Virginia. I'm like, why the freak does it say you're in Columbia when you're posting this stuff? It's freaking crazy.
I've seen that before. It's annoying. I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, I'm here, and I'm just like, what? Okay. I can ship it to you. No, that's not what I'm asking. Sorry. Goodbye.
Yeah. So either way. So yeah, Patreon producers, thank you guys so much for checking us out. Thanks everyone who is a patron who has been supporting us on Patreon. Appreciate all you guys and gals. Definitely, couldn't do this without you guys. We've been putting a lot of extra content on there. I've been throwing the content that I'm doing on my individual YouTube channel, which I just actually officially started doing for our challenge. So Zach, just as a quick recap, you and I have been doing this challenge. We started in October. Whoever could go out and could find the most valuable / most rare horror game for under $20. Okay. We had a $20 limit on our purchase. I may or may not have smoked you on that challenge with
may or may not have skirted the rules, but we won't get into that.
Whoa. Wait, no. Haunting Ground, I didn't skirt the rules. Silent Hill, debatable.
No. Haunting. So you had bought stuff prior to buying Haunting Ground. I was trying to go off a solid just $20. Nothing more. No. Hey, here's another $20. Here's another $20.
Oh, whoa! You can't hate on me. I buy games. That's what I do.
But you used them in the challenge, you cheater.
Oh no! I was just showing those off. The challenge game was Haunting Ground.
As he says, I hope Zach can forgive me for this, but I think I found the loophole.
I'll put it to you like this, okay? Haunting Ground was the win. Everything else was just rubbing your nose in it. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
But that being said, we had the October challenge. So what I did was I filmed myself and my kids going to a bunch of yard sales, and man, we had a blast doing that. So what I'm doing now is I'm editing all the videos, and I learned a lot. Okay, like us doing this challenge thing and me being forced to actually do video and video production, I'm learning that I didn't know anything about it. I'm not great at editing it. And if you use your cell phone, turn it sideways.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I felt bad when I posted mine, because my internet was still out, and I was like, I have to get this out to these people, or there's gonna be a riot on everyone's hands. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this in CapCut on my phone, and you're gonna get a YouTube video because I can upload it directly from my phone. So everyone got a YouTube video directly from my phone,
which was fine, and I like the way you did it because you could screen cap everything. And so it was good. The problem I ran into was I didn't think about that while I was filming, because I'm like, I got my phone in my hand, trying not to look like a total weirdo. And I'm filming all this stuff. And then I was like, oh, dang, if I would have turned it sideways, I would have gotten like really good quality video that would have filled the whole screen up. So I ended up having to kind of play around with some overlays and some borders just to make it watchable. But there's some good content in there. So I broke down the entire month of hunting in 3 videos. I've already posted one on the Loot Bros channel. I posted the recap of everything I caught. So I'll post that on my personal channel as well a little bit later on once I get the other 3 videos out. I've already edited the other 2. I'm going to start dropping them. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the footage, and I've got like a little blurb in the beginning and a little blurb in the end or whatever. But I tried to mix it up because there were certain weeks where I didn't find any games at all. Sometimes I would go to 30 yard sales and not find a single video game. And then I would go to a video game booth at a flea market and then only find your Call of Duties, your Maddens, and your FIFAs. Like no horror games at all. It was crazy how it took me the majority of the month to find anything horror at all. And when I did, I hit a jackpot. So pretty excited about that. All the links to all this stuff, my YouTube channel and Zach's YouTube channel, will be in the comments. We'll definitely be kind of linking you guys to that stuff, because for the podcast, we're going to keep the podcast stuff on the podcast channel. For all this challenge stuff and all the extra things that we do, we're just going to have them on our own.
Yep.
Some people don't want that other stuff. Some people don't want to watch me go to the flea market with a camera strapped to my chest.
Yeah, no, no, actually, so the other night, I actually recorded my first like solo video, and I'm gonna edit it when I get back home. But it is going to be, I'm gonna give you all a little teaser. It's gonna be gaming accessories or peripherals from the Dollar Tree.
Oh snap!
I'm gonna give y'all a hint. They don't go to the Dollar Tree and buy gaming peripherals. It was bad. I was so mad the whole time.
That's awesome.
The look of upsetness and disdain on my face was priceless.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to have some cool stuff coming up. I hope everybody enjoys it. We love the feedback. So if you got a drink, let's go ahead and crack it.
What is the name of that YouTube channel, by the way?
All right. So glad you asked. My YouTube channel is called Residentdarrell. And then his is the Bearded Nerd.
Yep.
So we'll have those links in the description. Very good.
Darrell, what you drinking tonight?
I broke the rules. I got a Monster.
A white Monster?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, that's not that bad.
Oh, I forgot the camera's off. Yeah.
Blue Ribbon.
Yeah, I'm drinking a G Fuel, a Peach Rings.
It will not let me purchase this. So the Lord obviously does not want me to have this lot of games. So I've tried to add it to my cart. I've tried to pay now, and I'm getting an error. So I don't know. All right. So what we're going to do, guys, real quick, I've already said a bunch about it, but definitely check out the Patreon, check out the YouTubes, all that good stuff. Get involved in the Discord and the Facebook group. We would love to have all of you guys. Thomas, if you will do the honors and start us off with what you've been playing.
What I've been playing recently, I just picked it up a good price for $40 for Black Friday. Xbox is currently doing theirs. Sony starts tomorrow. So if you get a chance, if you get home by 3 o'clock, Sony should have theirs up. But I'm currently playing Gotham City, and I'm playing as Robin, and I hate his costume, by the way. I can't wait until I unlock a different costume. Also, the problem I have with this game just starting out is that if you're a spoiler alert, I'll give everybody a little bit of time. Okay. So the problem I have is whenever, and it's just, like I said, I just started, but if I came in through the back door, I've entered through all these secret areas and the windows, why the hell am I going out the front door? I'm like, oh, there's no longer no need to be sneaky. I'm just going through the front door. But outside of that, man, I'm loving it. Graphic wise, it's not as bad as people say it is. And for $40, how can I complain?
Awesome. I'm ready to play that game. I've got a handful in the way, things I have to complete before I can get there, but I'm definitely itching to play it.
You know what? Seeing as it's on sale on Xbox, if you buy it on Xbox, you and I can play together and we can talk about that.
Dang it, man. That's a good idea.
Deep dive content.
That's a good idea.
Excellent, man. Always add me.
That's a good idea. That's a 3-man squad right there, baby.
Now we're just missing 4. I call dibs on the Red Hood.
I want Batgirl.
I'm all about being quiet and silent, so I'm always Robin.
There we go.
Dang.
Taking applications for Nightwing.
There we go.
I like it. You guys are twisting my arm here. We'll see what's up.
But
all right.
I really think, man, like when talking about the Xbox and just the Xbox in general, to move it on to our gaming subject of the night, is there's a little game. When I used to manage a EB Games or electronic boutique, for those who don't know what EB Games means, in Bowie, Maryland, there was a game called Kato, or it's Kayato Trojan. And it was a fighting game from Dream Factory. If anybody here is familiar with Dream Factory, the people who made Guys, the people who made the Bouncer, and the people that made Tobu and Tobu. Was it Tobu number 1 and Tobu number 2? I don't think number 1 ever came out here in America, but it did come out in Japan. And that game, it should be the holy grail for people who just like random beat 'em up fighters. it was a little generic because, all the character models looked, like kind of plastic because it was from the people who made the bouncer. And again, I always talk about Era Guys for people who don't know what Era Guys is. That was the Final Fantasy fighting game for the original PlayStation. But moving back to the Xbox, the Kaito Chojin, this game was banned within like 2 months of being released in America. Now, the reason why this game was banned, believe it or not, one of the characters, his main flaw, was really nothing, but the problem was the music had a call to Muslim prayer in it, and basically the Saudi Arabia was so offended that basically I think they were maybe causing for war, or they were super pissed. So long story short, they're like, "Hey, you get rid of this game, or you're gonna come up missing." And I threw away probably about 200 copies of that game in my store and put them in the trash. And then afterwards, when we closed, I went back to the dumpster and dumpster dive and sold those all for a couple of $100 a piece. And I currently
That's
possess
amazing.
2 in my possession. And that to me is one of the treasures that people should be looking for. In general, if you love fighting games, that's a great fighting game to have. And also mentioning the Bouncer was kind of a beat 'em up fighting game, and I have an affinity for the Bouncer. If you never played the Bouncer for the PlayStation 2, look up some videos on YouTube or just see if you can find it if you still have a PlayStation 2. The Bouncer is just a really fun game with beautiful character models.
Heck yeah, dude. I remember that game.
I mean, a lot of people thought that those character models were the character models that were going to be for Final Fantasy 8 or not 8, but for Final Fantasy 10 at that time because they had already moved on to the PlayStation 2. But Bouncer was really beautiful, and I was surprised that they did not make a sequel for the Bouncer. Or if there's any game that you could wish for a PlayStation 2 update for them to redo or remaster, the Bouncer is one of those games because that's one of those games that really could have been co-op. Because remember, they did have like kind of a co-op mode, but it wasn't part of the main story. Unless I'm remembering it incorrectly. But to my Holy Grail of games, and people are going. If anybody knows this, please come in. Any subscribers, Patreon people are donating. Please chime in. There was this game when I was a little boy. And we drove. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. We drove all the way to College Station, which is Texas A&M. And back then, all there was cow patties and a big ass mall. And my mother was doing some type of work there or whatever, so she gave me like $5, and I'm in this big mall by myself. And of course, back in those days, an arcade exists everywhere. So within that arcade, imagine every good game you ever desired as a child. You had the Ninja Gaiden arcade game. You had the WWF at the time, the WrestleMania. You had just Tron, all these cool games. But there was a Laserdisc game, and it wasn't your typical Laserdisc game. It wasn't Dragon Slayer. It wasn't what's the one Space Ace, and there may be another one. This particular Laserdisc game was the most evil, Satanist, satanic game I've ever played in my life to this day. And I had played every horror game there is. And this game was just trippy. It was weird. And if there's any kids listening to this podcast right now and they're with an adult within ear distance, please hold their ears just for a minute. I'll give a countdown of 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the game starts out with pretty much a rape scene, and it's
Jeez.
pretty damn graphic. And it's in a public arcade, and the game costs $5 a play. And back in 1988/89, that's a lot of damn money for an arcade game. In general, and then the bad guy steals your girl or the girl away. You're trying to save her, and it does have a lot of like space entity stuff to it, but it shows her screaming and like it's like she's being brutalized for real. And you're trying to save her, and the controls for a Laserdisc game were amazing. At least they were to me at the time. And I have looked for this game for years. I have described it to numerous people who are gamers. I have looked on YouTube. I've looked on Facebook. I've looked on Google, DuckDuckGo, every search engine, and described many different details of this game, and have yet to find this game. And I don't know if it was maybe some college kids' feces that they put in, some tech bros, and they put it together, and they put it in there, and like, hey man, you mind we put this in here? Kind of like AKA King of the Hill. If you ever saw the King of the Hill, where like gaming
Dang it, Bobby.
becomes
Yeah,
a
damn it, Bobby. Whoa.
yeah, where basically Hank gets addicted to playing the propane guy, and it's like a Grand Theft Auto but with propane. It was kind of like that, man. And it's just so weird and so different from anything I've ever played. And I have looked for this game for over probably 30 years. And I've looked for this game in some form of way and have never found it. And every time I've described it to people, they can't imagine it because it was just when you think of Laserdisc and you start looking through the Laserdisc catalog and you look through all these different things, you look and you watch videos like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. And you keep wondering. So if anybody out there is a subscriber, paid member, please, if you know the name of this game, contact us, let us know, and I would love to actually be able to find the ROM for it, or at least be able to watch it, someone else play it again, because it was the weirdest, craziest game I have ever played before in my life, and I have never seen it at any other arcade. And there was an arcade all over the place. There was an arcade in Humble, Texas. There was an arcade in Houston, Texas, where I lived. Every other arcade I've looked at, man, and I've been to literally, I'm a gamer for life. I have never seen that game anywhere else. So maybe it was one of those ones that was just so weird and so crazy. It was pulled. It was like, hey man, this is just too damn violent. And this is before they had like a gaming rating of rating M or whatever. It was like when anything went.
Did you find something, Zach?
Yeah, so I remember when we were doing our spooky stories. Notorious for its content, downloading a game from there would it says Black Market. The game begins like Amnesia with the character walking down a hallway where the sounds of gasping, groaning, and growling fill your speakers and just flash on the screen.
I bet Matt G.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
I bet Matt G or JT would be able to find this. Those guys are they're wizards. So.
The only name that I can go off of for this one is it says Sad Satans.
Gee.
That's the name of this game. Like, I don't know.
Huh.
That's the only thing I can find. I was like, when you're describing something something disturbing and old, and I was just like, man, this picture was pixelated kind of, and it looked.
I mean, I've never felt like you ever felt like cold playing a game, and you felt like something just. It's like wrong and evil just to play it.
Oh,
yeah.
I got a story for something like that. Heck yeah, dude. So awesome. Well, I mean, I freaking love the story. I love hearing about it. Before we get too much deeper into it, Zach, what all have you been playing, brother?
So I've only been playing 2 games. I've been playing Modern Warfare 2 because they just dropped more content on yesterday, actually. They dropped their DMZ mode and Warzone 2. So DMZ, for those that aren't familiar, if you're familiar with the very popular survival extraction game Escape from Tarkov, it's essentially Escape from Tarkov, and Call of Duty had a baby. And then Warzone, obviously their battle royale mode. It's actually, everything's been pretty great. They added 2 more new maps to the game. What else? They actually fixed some of the brokenness of this game.
How do you like the third person mode?
I haven't played the third person. I'm not a big third person shooter player at all. I'll enjoy Fortnite every once in a while. But playing no build. But I'm mainly a first person.
Interesting.
And then I've been playing Smite, getting a little bit better at playing MOBAs and learning that.
I saw you got some Chivos on there last week.
I did. Smite has like an ungodly amount of achievements.
That's what we like. That's what we like to hear.
Let's see. Hold on. I can actually tell you how many achievements.
Jeez, it sounds like people are coming through the roof above me.
I mean, they might be. Yell at the kid.
in,
Yell
the
at the
middle of,
kittens.
in the middle of recording, the kid just falls through a roof and lands beside me. Hey, Daddy.
So Smite has 310 achievements.
There you go.
I have 74 of them.
Okay.
The total gamer score for it is 4,737.
I love that. I love that game. The Xbox adds just so many. That adds the gamer score.
Well, the problem is I can never 100% complete it because a lot of the achievements that are in there now are achievements that were for like older game modes that they've already taken out because Smite's been around for quite a few years. So unless so they do a thing every weekend. It's called Smite Night where they bring back an old mode. So unless I can do it in one of those modes, I'm probably not. I'll never be able to 100% it. But
there's another game that was like an Overwatch clone that came out, Paladins. There's a mode in Paladins that's not there anymore, and I can't get the platinum because it's like near impossible to get this one trophy. You got to have a full lobby of people cooperating to make it work at the same time, and I've never been able to get a whole group of people together in order to get this trophy. It's some kind of like survival mode that they used to have. It almost seems battle royale-ish. Like it's like, oh, you have this circle, this area you need to be in. But either way, sorry.
Oh, you're good. That's all I've been playing. Oh, so Darrell, I don't know if you're the same way. Do you and your wife still do like surprise Christmas, or do you just like, hey, this is what I want?
Our Christmas is kind of weird. So my wife, I buy her things. She doesn't use them. And then she asks me what I want, and I usually say, don't buy me anything, because if I want something, I'll buy it myself. Every now and again, I'll just kind of give her like here's an item or something that I'm into. Yeah, but she still tries to surprise me.
So you're Homer Simpson. Oh, here's this bowling ball.
Yeah, exactly. She's not good at gifts, and she's not good at surprising me. And that's just not something that she has ever really excelled at. So if she'll ask me what I want, and I'm like, I want this game, or I want this, One time, or which a lot of times, what she'll do is back before when I had like a GameStop that I frequented, she'd go in there, and because we knew the people that worked there and we were friendly with them, she'd be like, hey, Andrew, what does my husband have pre-ordered? And then she would just go pay off my pre-orders. Like, here you go, here's your Christmas. So. But that's about the closest thing. Now, I always surprise her with something. Like a couple years ago, I surprised her with a brand new van. I've gotten her like the little cameo for to do like the vinyl cutting machines. I bought her all kinds of stuff. I always do stuff for her, but that's kind of more my thing. I like surprising people. So.
But you guys do more like, okay, this is what I kind of want. Can I go buy it myself?
Kind of, yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
So this year, my wife is actually letting me do that for Christmas. She's like, one big thing. I was like, all right, we each give each other one big thing, or we let each other know what we want, and that's the one big thing we get. And then the rest of it, stocking stuffers, little $10 items here and there, whatever.
Right.
Cool. You can surprise me with whatever's in my stocking because it's just usually candy, socks, and whatever else. But so I'm actually going to be getting a new graphics card for my PC.
Dang it.
Because the one I got sounds like a jet plane taking off every time I start playing a video game.
Okay.
And right now, the deal they're doing is when you buy a certain card, AMD is giving you 2 free games.
Snap.
You're going to want both of them. Can you tell me what they are?
One
of them is in the horror genre. One is kind of like a horror RPG. That's the only hint I'll give you.
On PC?
Yeah.
One of them is Resident Evil, and the other one is, I don't know, of a horror RPG. Not a current one.
You're looking forward to at least one of these games. We've talked about it a lot.
Callisto Protocol?
Yep, I'm getting the Callisto Protocol for free.
Nice.
I'm also getting Dead Island 2 for free.
Oh, yeah, they just delayed that again today.
Yep. I don't care. I'm still getting it for free.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it like this. I'm getting $140 worth of games for free with my graphics card. So I'm pretty excited for both of those. So I'll be able to do a deep dive on Callisto Protocol with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm totally getting that one. That's probably the only brand new game I'm buying day one the rest of the year.
That's fair.
So, and I was telling Tricky the other day, I was like, man, I I bought Horizon Forbidden West brand new. I bought Elden Ring brand new, and I bought Dying Light 2 brand new. I bought the collector's edition of that one, and I haven't finished any of those games. So I told myself, I was like, especially while the mortgage business is kind of slow, I was like, no more brand new games, like until you beat the ones that you got. And I've done a pretty good job of sticking to them. And I was adamant about getting Gotham Knights. And so fortunately, what helped me stick to my guns was that the reviews were kind of bad. So I was like, well, good. I'll just wait a little while, and when it's on, it'll be on sale very soon. So, but yes, Callisto Protocol, day one, baby, day one. That's gonna be so good. So that's exciting. You got anything else you've been playing, Zach?
Nope, that is it. What have you been playing this week, sir?
Not much. So I've got a review game I'm doing for ProvenGamer.com. It is called Broken Pieces. I'm playing it on PS5. It is a third-person survival horror mystery kind of game. And I say survival horror a little loosely. I don't think I'm far enough in to know if there's the extent of the horror. There's definitely horror elements, and it's got a post-apocalyptic feel, but it's also got a little bit of like control kind of going on. Like there's a little bit more mystery. This whole thing could be more sci-fi than actual horror, but we don't know yet. And it is like Code Veronica, like Resident Evil Code Veronica, in the sense that it's fixed camera angles until the angles need to until the camera moves with you, and then from there it's like, you know, the camera can kind of go down a corridor or, you know, whatever. What's really cool is that there's always a second view. So you walk into a room and you hit L1 or R1 rather, and you can change the perspective, like change the camera angle, even though it's still fixed, which is awesome.
Okay.
And it's very cool, but I mean, graphically, it's not like the cleanest, most like smoothest looking game, but it's neat. I immediately fell in love with it. I really like what I've played so far. Like I said, I'm only about an hour and a half into the beginning of the game. But my plan is to really sink some time into it and finish it, you know, tomorrow evening into Saturday, you know. But so that's kind of it's called Broken Pieces. It just came out October 29th, I think. So I think it's about $24 on PlayStation. I don't know if it's on Xbox. I haven't looked into all the details yet. I'm just kind of, you know, playing the game. But really cool. I'll be doing that review, and it'll be posting on Proven Gamer, and then like I'll probably make that the deep dive this month, like since I'm already doing the review. So we'll see. We'll kind of see how that pans out, but I'm really so far really digging it. And then the other thing I've been playing is I've been playing chipping away at Ghost of Tsushima. I'm still, you know, I'm actually, it's funny, I stopped during the last mission, the Kill the Khan mission in Act 3, which I believe is the last mission. I mean, it might not be, it might still go after that. But that's where I stopped when we did the deep dive, and I just kind of did some side missions and stuff and kind of, you know, tinkered around. So I'm chipping away at that, and Lego the Movie on PS Vita. So as you guys know, I've been playing my PS Vita. I've always played Vita a lot, but I've been really dedicating myself to it the past several months. I lay in bed at night beside my wife, and since she's not working night shift anymore, I just go to bed with her. She falls asleep kind of early, and I play Vita until I go to sleep. So what I've been doing is I've committed to platinuming all of the Lego games on Vita. So that's like a personal challenge that I set up for myself. So I'm working on that one. I just platinumed Lego Avengers, Lego Marvel Avengers. So I'm chipping away at Lego Movie. And they changed the formula a little bit on this one. I've really struggled. I've played this game since it came out, kind of like a level here, a level there. I really don't love it. It is probably my least favorite Lego game that I've ever played. The graphic style is cool. Like it really lends itself nicely to like the movie looks, but I don't love the mission structure. And it's one of those random Lego games where if you die, you start over, opposed to, you die, you explode, you drop a bunch of coins, or a bunch of Lego bolts, and then you come back. So that's a little frustrating, but I've just been kind of casually chipping away at that one. I don't know. I think I'm about 20% through the game. So this one, I had a game save on one of my old memory cards that died, and I just had to start over. So all good. So that's me. That's all I've been playing. So if you guys want to jump into our leaderboards.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, let's see what everybody else has been playing. All right, so we're going to start off with the Loot Bros True Trophies leaderboards. Check out our True Trophies and True Achievement leaderboards. If you want to be a part of them, create yourself a little profile on there. Link up your Xbox or your PlayStation. It automatically keeps track of all the trophies and achievements you get. And every 7 days, it repopulates it repopulates every day, but we read out the results every 7 days. In first place, Affectations Daunt with 273 trophies. That's a lot of trophies, my friend.
He's been putting in the work.
He is. All right, second place, Steigen Wolf 4 with 43 trophies, playing some of the Last of Us Part 1, so the PS5 remake. So that's awesome. Third place, Mr. TMNT 84, playing some Madden NFL 22. Mr. TMNT, old Joe, he's been knocking out those pledge games, man. He's been one after the other.
He's got 2 left. He's got Tales of Arise, and I don't remember his other one.
Yep. So that's pretty exciting. And fourth place, we got MZ Nitro. He just platinum Concrete Genie. So his last trophy on here was in Concrete Genie. So that's awesome. I hear that's a really good game. Shout out to Gareth. Matter of fact, fifth place, Gaz Davis, Gareth. 14 trophies, playing some FIFA 23. I didn't even make it on I got 4 trophies. I
can't get trophies even though we're in a trophy competition because the internet at this hotel is so bad that I can't stream.
Dang, that's booty. Don't you hate that?
Oh, I'm actually really upset because I was like, cool. I go down there. I brought my DualShock 4. I was like, all right, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna play some games. I'll sit down. We're gonna play some games. And then they were like, nah, you ain't gonna work. Sorry. I even had like 2 games mapped out. I was like, I'm gonna go get the Plat and Stray. That'll be my first Plat because I think it's only a 5-hour Plat.
Dang. Well, speaking of our little trophy competition, I was going to wait until a little bit later, but you know what? I'll jump into that right now. In first place is Mohammed Dina, 9192. Good Lord, the points, 26,525 points. That is pretty freaking incredible. And basically, there's a point value for every trophy that you earn: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And this man right here, I don't know if it's a man or woman actually, but they are killing it. So 26,000 points. Next up, we've got Crucifix with 13,115 points. Then we have the Gooner Plays with 10,505 points. Next up would be Tension Creator with 7,925 points. Linkmaster with 7,810. Let's see. Let's go. Morphmeister with 7,330. And then we'll do one more for good measure. I don't even know how to say that one. So we're going to stop right there. I don't even know how to say that name. But I will. Let's see. Where am I at on this nice little list? I'm ahead of Redbeard Rick. I've got 1,395 points. Redbeard Rick's got 820, and the Beardednerd, I don't even see you on the list.
I can't. I literally, the day the competition started was the day I got out here on the 23rd.
Yep.
And I immediately tried playing it, and I was like, I can't. It won't even let me.
That sucks. That's awesome. Well, I guess I'm gonna beat you in that challenge. So, boom,
boom. It's okay. I still have confidence that I can plat 5 games before the end of the year.
No, let's do it, man. Let's go. Spam it up. You can get 5 of them tonight. What are you even waiting on?
My internet.
Okay. There's that. All right.
Internet.
All right. So that is our that's the Autumn Trophy competition. This is this particular competition has actual prizes. There's actual PlayStation credit at stake, and it's a lot of it. If you want to join, reach out to Carl Wakefield in the Facebook group and in the Discord. I was really trying to have him on just so that we could have him like pitch his own competition or whatever. Unfortunately, due to the time change or the time zone differences rather, and just everything that I've had on my plate with my job, I just haven't been able to work it out. So one of these days we'll have Carl on. But for right now, if you want to be a part of the Autumn Trophy competition, hit him up. He's in the Facebook group and he's in the Discord. We are going to jump into our true achievements leaderboard. So starting off, I'm styling on your bro with 2,635 achievement points, playing the Master Chief Collection. We got Sony Pony to you in second place with 1,500 points even, playing Bones of Halloween. I don't even know what that is. Then we got in third place GDI Master Ace with 290 points, playing some Persona 5 Royale. Shout out to the Xbox guys, finally getting games.
Funny.
Then in fourth place, we got Sadik playing some Vampire Survivors. I hear really good things about that. And then we got our good friend of the show, the franchise killer, Mr. Levi, Parsival 25-28 with 115 points in fifth place. He's been playing some Fallout 4. So shout out to all you guys, man. Thank you guys for participating. And it's real simple. All you guys got to do is set yourself up in the leaderboard and play your games. That's it. It keeps track of everything. And then you never know. Sometimes you get shout out on the show. Speaking of shout outs, backlog beatdown time. I'm styling on your bro, freaking killing the game with 162 points. That's insane. That's crazy. There's no catching him now. There's no beating him. There's not enough time. Even CJ can't do it. Second place, CJ with 104. Third place, Diego with 102. Next up, we got Red Rick with 101. Then we got myself, Residentdarrell, with 95. We've got a tie with Gareth and Joe Priestley with 71. Next up is JT, the Commissioner, with 63. Then we got Jared. Shout out to Jared, all your lovely memes in the Discord, with 39 points. Then we got MZ with 38, Yield with 37, Alex with 35. I love that Alex and Yield have maintained their position on the backlog beatdown leaderboards, and they've been neck and neck the whole time. So it's very cool. 37, 35. Sadik with 26, Kalai with 24, James the Nerd with 23, and nothing else has changed since the last time. All the rest of them are still where they started. So there we go. That's all of the fun and all the competitions and all of the things we have with the community. We've got leaderboards. We've got trophy competitions. We've got backlog beatdown. Guys, if you're listening to this podcast, it is not hard to be a part of this community. It's not hard to interact with us. Thomas, would you agree? Is it difficult to get involved?
It is not hard at all, and it is a great community. It's a community of a bunch of brothers and sisters that care about each other. And when you're talking about community and you're talking about customization, why not talk about the great merch that we have for the Loot Brothers and the awesome t-shirts to keep you warm during the winter?
You know what? That right there was an amazing segue and a great little plug. And you're right. We don't push the merchandise enough. Guys, we have a merch store. We use StoreFrontier. It's one of those print on demand stores. I have the merchandise marked down as low as it'll let me charge. Okay. So if you're interested, and some of you guys have picked up some Loot Bros t-shirts. I personally love the quality of the shirts. So we use Next Level brand. Unless you get a 3X or higher, then we use the Gildan brand. Still quality. But go check out the store. The links are in the description and all the podcast feeds in the YouTube, all that stuff. If you go to our link tree, you can definitely find it. The merch store is on there. And like I said, I think like $15, $14.75. I don't even know, whatever it is. And I know this during the Black Friday and the holiday months, they tend to mark shirts down and they tend to do some free shipping bundle deals. So now's a really good time to get you some Loot Bros merchandise and get yourself a nice poop sock shirt for Christmas, because everybody needs a little poop sock in their life. All right,
I was
guys.
actually talking about that the other day. Someone was completely baffled. They're like, "What's a poop sock?" And I was like, "Don't worry. Hold on. Let me explain it real quick."
You got to ask, big man. You probably can't afford it. That was off of Super Troopers, or was that Beer Fest? That was Beer Fest. He's asking what a ZJ was. All right, guys, here we go. This is why we're here. Now, Thomas already dove in. We're talking about Grail games, okay? And this is a conversation that's been going on, I would say, more recent than in the past since we've started our challenges, okay? This conversation has spun out of the Loot Bros podcast group. We've got a local video game group in South Carolina that we have built. We're started. I mean, it's very, very small, very, very young still, but we're having some conversation in there, and it really got me jazzed up. I'm really excited. Okay. I wanted to talk about Grail games, and Kalai, our co-host, she's like, you know what? I don't really even know what a Grail game is. I'm like, that is a good place to start. So I want to set the table, guys, for this week's official topic. We're going to be talking about Grail games. What are Grail games? What are our personal Grail games? And then we're going to be reading some responses from the community in the various groups on what Grail games they're looking for. Okay, so we're going to go around the table, starting with myself, and we're just going to say, what is a Grail game to us? Not giving specific titles, but what is it? So for me, a Grail game, a Holy Grail game, would be a game that I played, that I've enjoyed in my life, that I no longer have access to. I can't just go download a ROM for it, or maybe you can download a ROM, but I can't go on the PlayStation Network or the Xbox Store and buy a game, right? It's a game that I actually have to have old hardware and is not necessarily super accessible. Okay, something that's a little more rare. Typically for me, my Grail games tend to line up in the horror aspect, the horror genre. And what's always happened is I've either had these games in the past, or I've always wanted them and couldn't afford them. And then it's like or maybe I had them at one point in time, and it's like, oh, this is great. But then one day I sold it, or something happened. And then I'm like, man, here it is 10, 15 years later. I'm like, God, I wish I had that. So for me, Grail games aren't necessarily the most rare, most valuable games, but they are games that are hard to get a hold of. And or if you go on eBay and whatnot and Macari, they're just a little more expensive than I want to pay for something that I would love to find in the wild. So, Thomas, what is a Grail game to you?
Well, I was just at a gaming store the other day, and I have to tell you, one of the people who works at this gaming store, if you don't mind, I'm gonna name drop them. That's
Sure.
Old School Gamers here in Lexington, and
Yeah.
the guy who works there is actually looking for, and you may have played it. I played it. It's actually one of Tall Tale's one of their second entity games, the Drastic Park game. Do you remember
the
that
physical
game?
version of it? Yeah, yeah.
It's the Tall Tales game, and like literally it sets up like the original movie for Drastic Park, but it's just a little bit changed here and there. And I was telling him, it's like I'm looking for that game too, but I was very fortunate to actually have the PlayStation 3 digital version of it, and
Yeah,
I actually
same.
went and backtracked and found it. And I spent an hour, probably longer than that, last night hunting it down and re-downloading it on one of my PlayStation 3s. And thank God I owned it, and it wasn't a Plus game.
Yep, same. I have that same one. It's actually not. So that was back when Telltale was a little more of a point and click adventure. They didn't do. It wasn't so much.
You are correct. You are 100% correct.
Yeah, there was a little more point and click, and it was because that was about the same time they put out Monkey Island and the Back to the Future game. Yep. But I picked it up because it was a Jurassic Park game, and I am also one of the lucky ones that have access to that in my digital library. So yes. So I didn't know they ever put a physical version out, so it's really cool.
They did put out one for the PS3, and I think for the 360. Someone can correct me and see if they did put out one for the 360, but I know they did put out one for the PS3.
Excellent. So, but I mean, I know that's an awesome story. But what is a Holy Grail game to you? Like, what is that when I say Holy Grail? What comes to mind
to
as far as
me,
what are
what
your
comes to
definition?
mind has something that I want, something that I need, and that I actually care about, that actually means something precious to me. I would have to say, man, and this is like a really kind of weird kind of title, and I was able to eventually find it again. And a lot of people would not like this game, and it's kind of a kids game. You're going to make fun of me, but Mini Ninjas for the
Oh,
Xbox
yeah.
360s, and it's a really good game, and that game needs to be redone. And I actually got to play it with my child. She loves it to death. It's really because you can play as many different ninjas within it, but it's a different game of it's a really cool platformer, man. I mean, I don't know if you played that one or not, but to me, it's so fun. It's easy, but it's also difficult at the same time. If that makes any sense, and it feels like an open world, even though it's not an open world.
Heck yeah. I do remember that. I believe I have that downloadable on like it was like a I think I might have that on PSP and Vita, maybe. That feels like that's right, but I have to look through my library to see.
If you
I've never
never
played it, but I think I own
Yeah,
it.
if you never put any time into it, strongly recommend it. Like everybody always tells me to put time into Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters that actually had Bill Murray, Eichmann, and all that. But I never. I think maybe I played like one or two maps of it, and it is good. But still, it's just Mini Ninjas is one of those games, man, where I can go back to it at any time, and I really enjoy it. And the main thing about that game is just the music is so relaxing. It's just, I mean, it fits the tone for what you're doing in the game. And the world, as empty as it may be, and sometimes it still feels like it's alive because of the way the music is presented.
Excellent. 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 All right. Zach, what is a Holy Grail game in your opinion?
Holy Grail game, something that you hold near and dear to your heart, something that may be a little bit out of your reach. Um, for me, it'd be like something like a sealed copy of a game that like I fell in love with. Because even if it's still kind of like more modern, like 360 PS3 era, it's still harder to find a lot of those sealed games anymore.
Yep.
So like something like that, or like for me, like a decently priced copy of like Pokemon Emerald would be great. I know I'll probably never ever find that again in my life, but
Man, I'm telling you, like, this is the part that drives me, right? It's that phrase that you just used. I'll probably never find it. And then it's like, but wait a minute. I just found Haunting Ground for $10 in the wild. Like it can happen. Like I'm watching all these like YouTubers that are like resellers, strap their cameras on their chest and go out there and do all this stuff. And the things they pass up are the things they find in the wild. It's what like energizes me to get back out there and look because you know what? You might not find it for years, but then one day, dude, if you keep looking and you keep going, you're gonna find it. It's almost like it's wild, dude. Like how just random stuff just pops up. You just got to keep looking. So the thrill of the hunt is what keeps me going.
oh yeah, like I said, when I finally like, because I felt like I really kind of fell flat on my face in our last challenge. So today when I made that deal, I was like, yeah, that's money. And then
Heck yeah.
he was like, yeah, I'll take 25. I was like, and then so I could stay within our challenge. I was just like, specifically, I will give you $7 for Left 4 Dead. Every other game, $1 a piece. He's like, yeah, sure. I was like, I have to make this work because if I pay $25 for 19 games, it's still that it's going to be a little more than $1 a piece.
I love it. I love that you manipulated the rules of engagement to make it work in your favor. That
sounds like you did last time.
Now, my question to you would be: how does Pokemon Emerald make you feel, and like what type of um, escalation in like your body do you feel like if you were to find it and be able to play it again, and or just that's just something you just want to own just for the sake of owning?
Oh, it would tickle my fancy. So I have emulated that game more times than I could count. And the other day I went out and I was doing a little stuff for our challenge. I went to a place called Half Price Books. out here, and I found the old player's guide for it with all the stats for all the Pokemon, what moves they could learn, levels, and all that stuff. And I got really, really excited. And I picked it up for like $20, and because they like even in rough condition, they still go for like anywhere from 35 to 60 on eBay. So being able to find that in the wild, like still like it made me happy. I was like, at least I'm not coming away from this with nothing, and it's something that I'm going to keep.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to go around the table and we'll just kind of name out a Holy Grail game that we would love to find in the wild. Now, in the wild, whatever you guys want to call that, you know what I'm saying? For me, in the wild is literally I want to find it physically. In order of what I find acceptable, this is just for me personally. This has no bearing on anyone else. In the wild is literally me at the flea markets, at the yard sales, at the garage sales, finding thrift shops, whatever, finding these actual items. That would be like the preferred way to do it. The secondary way to do it would be finding a marketplace, kind of like how I did Haunting Ground. And I don't mind finding things on a marketplace. Like that's fine. I feel like I don't have a ton of luck, but Haunting Ground is kind of like the outlier. It's like, well, you found that one, so you can't really say that forever. So for me, I prefer to actually physically stumble on these things, preferably with no knowledge up front. Like, oh, look what I just found. Like, for example, I'm editing a video that I shot this past Wednesday. Okay. It was late start for my son at school. He has this random once a month or every 2 months where they do one Wednesday out of the month where they start an hour and a half or so after like normal.
They have teachers meetings on those days.
Something.
I did that as well.
Yeah. So I was like, well, it's Wednesday. We're going to the flea market, and I've got my. I'm not using a GoPro yet. I haven't. I want to find a GoPro in the wild and then use that to film with, which is crazy, I know, but like my videos will get better, but I want to find a GoPro in the wild and then use that to make my videos better, not just go buy a $400 camera. So
yeah, those GoPros have the early editions of GoPros don't have very good volumes because I have an early edition GoPro and pictures beautiful, but the volume is the problem with the early edition because again, I have an early edition GoPro and just the volume.
Yeah. And that's kind of like my action cam that I'm using. It's a quote 4K. I'm using 1080/30 and the volume sounds like crap. I mean, it just is not great. So, but it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing this to be some famous YouTuber. I'm doing it for fun for our podcast and, for the people that are supporting us already. And it's enjoyable to do. So, but that being said, I put the camera on and we went out hunting and my son was with me. And I said, look, son, we go up on this table. She's got a bunch of DVDs. And in one of the boxes, there's a stack of loose discs. I said, what you got to do? I said, you got to come over and you got to pick these up and you got to sift through all of them. I was like, it might take forever, but you know what? Every now and again, you find a game. I kid you not. As I'm saying it, I open the stack, right? I'm about 10 discs in and it's NBA 2K17 on PlayStation 4. And then it's For Honor on PlayStation 4. And I'm like, hey, how much you get on your loose discs? And she's like, 50 cents a piece, 2 for $1. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I pull out some Xbox 360 games. I pull out SmackDown versus Raw 2010 on Xbox 360, And I'm like, if they got 2007, I'm going to cut a backflip because that's a game that I desire to find in the wild. That would be a Grail game for me. So, and it's not an overly expensive game. I can get it for $25 off eBay, but I don't want to get it for $25 on eBay. I want to find it in the wild. So, right. But I was explaining to him how to do this, like the best way to do this from somebody like me who hunts this stuff. And then as I did it, I was like, boom, here we go. That endorphin rush that I get from just finding this stuff in the wild is so freaking awesome. I'm like, this is it. This is worth coming out today. I just bought a dozen games for like $10, $20. I mean, I know it was like, I don't think I spent more than $14. And I bought more than a dozen. I don't even remember. I didn't even count them. I just took a picture of them and showed them to you guys. But I'm like, man, this is awesome. And then I found more games in the wild, $1 a piece. I found some $2 games just to have. But I say all that to say this: the thrill of the hunt is what really gets me going. So when I set my Grail expectations, part of it is dictated solely on how I come across them. Okay. So that being said, one of the games that I'm looking for in the wild is, you guys remember when Resident Evil Revelations came to the Nintendo 3DS?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember all the hullabaloo that came out because the first wave had a misprint?
I do not actually.
I do not.
So if you pre-ordered Resident Evil Revelations on the Nintendo 3DS, you could get you got a bonus sleeve that covers your Nintendo 3DS. Okay. My pre-order didn't come with that. They actually kept my sleeve and never gave it to me. I was very, very frustrated. But when the first box of those games hit the GameStop stores, there was a misprint on the word Revelations was misspelled on the spine of the case. Yeah. So the first wave of them, they had to send back, or quote unquote send back, quote unquote destroy, whatever. Okay. So then you had to wait on the next shipment of games to come in. So for me, what I want to do, because I can go on eBay right now and find the misprinted case, for a couple of dollars. I mean, I think I was looking at it earlier, complete, for $30, but I don't want to do that. I want to find the misprinted case in the wild. I would love to find the misprinted case in the wild. That would be so freaking cool to me. So that's one of the Grail games out there. Do I have the game already? Yes. I own it on PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One. I own it digitally on all those consoles as well. And I've got the Nintendo 3DS physical version on my shelf. But I don't have the misprinted copy because they wouldn't sell me it. So now I'm determined to find it. So Thomas, what is a Grail game that you would love to find? I know you mentioned one earlier.
Well, what I would like to find that is unbelievably hard to find because they didn't really print it was Thrill Kill. But I would like to have the skins that they put over Thrill Kill that they sold to the general public, which is actually the Wu-Tang Clan game for the original PlayStation. And that would be, I like fighters. Like my favorite game of all time is Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, obviously, but just any Street Fighter game is just a really good game. And then, like for Street Fighter 4, every version of Street Fighter 4, I loved Street Fighter 4 with a passion. I hated Street Fighter 5 just because it did too many stupid changes. But I digress. It's just one of those games, man, where it's just a little different. It's okay. It's not really that great, but it's just one of those things that's kind of cool to have, just so you can say you have it. But Thrill Kill wasn't released, I think, to the general public, and then, like I said, it was eventually, Thrill Kill was eventually reskinned and put as the Wu-Tang Clan. But a game that I have been looking for that I would like to find, that when I had met you over at that one place when y'all had y'all's little shop going, was the Sonic for the Nintendo Wii. I do not have that game. That is one of the few games I do not have, and I would like to have that game for the Nintendo. Excuse me, the Wii U. Let me make a correction there. The Wii U. I have every other game I want for the Wii U, but that one, and that's why I said if you come across it, let me know.
Now that's the Sonic Lost World?
That is the Sonic Lost World.
Gotcha. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Excellent, man. That's awesome. All right, Zach, what is a Grail game that you're looking for?
Probably the game that converted me to being an Xbox player and not a stinky PlayStation Tony Pony. I would love to find a copy of the Legendary edition of Halo 3 sealed, the helmet and everything. That would be amazing. I know that someone probably has it out there because, like I said, it's not old yet, still fairly new. I guess you could say it's not considered vintage yet. it would never be opened. It would just sit on my shelf and just look really pretty constantly. That was one of my favorite games. It's still one of my favorite games. I'm happy that I literally picked up, because I don't have a disc version of it. So I'm happy that I just picked up just the disc and the manual today. So all I need to do is find an empty case.
The multiplayer for it, or just a single player campaign?
So this was the disc before they released the complete multiplayer and stuff. I picked up just the original disc.
Okay.
But yeah, I would like to find the limited edition one that came with the Master Chief helmet that had the nice stand and the light up junk on it.
I sold mine.
Yeah, if I could find that sealed, like, I would be the happiest human being alive. That's probably one of my holy grails. I don't know if I'll ever find it sealed unless I buy it, but I don't want to do that. I'm sure somebody somewhere has it. Some store somewhere I'm going to walk into one day and they're just going to have it, and I'm going to have the money to drop on them. She'll be like, "Yep, here you go." I was almost tempted the other day I walked in the GameStop, and they're doing their half off of clearance stuff.
Yep.
They had they had the new Master Chief helmet half off, which made it only like $45. I almost picked it up too. And I was like, my wife would murder me right now. Let me hold off. Because I wasn't gonna be like, "Hey babe, can I spend some money?" She's "What do you want now?" Full size Master Chief helmet, $45. She'd be like, "That's your Christmas present." I'm just like, "Nah, I want to grab it."
Yeah, I don't want to waste my Christmas present. That's funny. Yeah, I had that and I really, really dug it. But I sold it years and years ago. I one of the first ever purges I did because my game room was getting too full of games. And yep, so that's me. So all right, I got another one. This one. Go ahead,
Rez,
Thomas.
What are you currently missing on your Resident Evil collection? Like, do you have all the Resident Evils? And then, have you ever played The Suffering?
Yes, I do have The Suffering. I actually just picked up The Suffering on Xbox the other day.
1 or 2?
The first one. I don't have the second one currently.
Okay.
So, and I think The Suffering is great. And I played it back in the day when it came out, and I quite enjoyed it. So for me, this one's super rare. So this one is Resident Evil Gaiden for Nintendo Game Boy Color. The game is absolute trash. I played it years and years ago, but this is one of the few games that when my house burnt down, it burned up in my house.
Uh-huh.
And I've never come across a copy in person. There's fake versions that you can buy online for nothing, which I've considered having just to have it, but I don't even have a Game Boy Color anymore. So I wouldn't buy it to play it. I would buy it just to have it. But even like right now, I'm just kind of scrolling through. I mean, $80 to $200 is kind of, what it's going for.
I think I saw one actually in the wild out here.
Well, that would be a mega pickup if you can find Resident Evil Gaiden. And I don't know how to tell what's legit, you know what I'm saying? Because like I don't do a good job identifying, like fake cartridges. But there's definitely, because like there's one right now, like there's a knockoff with Barry Burton on the front for $15.29
on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, a lot of people have been redoing old cards and selling reproductions on Facebook because it's just hard to get the originals.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a good business to be in, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue with a reproduction card, repro card. I don't care, But what I would love to find in the wild is a legit copy of it, or even a fake copy. I would have. I don't care. But like a fake copy right here on eBay, I can find them for $15.29. A legit copy loose looks like $200. A graded copy at a 9.0 is a $2,500. Joe's favorite. And then here's one that's just the game complete. $849. So it's all over the place. So, but it seems like a loose card is $200.
Barry's name, by the way, because every time I think of Barry, I think of the original voice actor from the original Resident Evil, and the way she says it, it's like almost condescending. She's like, "Barry."
Jill, what is this? You are almost a Jill
love that,
sandwich. I love it, dude. There's a rip I have, audio rip somewhere, where it's just like all the lines from Barry in the first game. He's like, "What is this? What? What is this? What is this?" It's like 7 different times where he says that, and then there's one part where he was like, "Take this because you're the master of unlocking."
That should be the opening of the show every week. What is this?
What? What is this?
It's Loot Bros.
That's right. Awesome. All right, Thomas, you got another Grail game you want to share with us?
Man, there are so many great games that have existed throughout time. And I would say the one game that when you talk about handheld games, um, remember TurboGrafx 16 had a handheld?
Ooh, I do not remember that actually. We
Yeah,
had a
they had
TurboGrafx 64, I think. Maybe it was
yeah,
a
they had a
16.
TurboGrafx 16. I would if I still had that handheld, I would like to have gotten Vigilante for that. If you ever played Vigilante where you save Madonna. I don't know if it was the
Huh.
singer Madonna or just some chick named Madonna, but God knows I wouldn't want to be with today's Madonna. Well, I would understand it would just be my turn at this point because she's ancient. But outside of that, I really love that handheld. And you can correct me if I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure they did have a handheld, man, that had that on there, or maybe it would have been for the Game Gear. Because Game
Oh
Gear,
yeah.
or the I'm sorry, the Atari Lynx, and the Atari Lynx actually had the arcade Ninja Gaiden. If you, I don't know if you ever played the arcade Ninja Gaiden game, that was like super good, man. It was different. It was awesome. And then of course when you're getting ready to die, and like the dying screen where it has the saw coming down, getting ready to saw you in half, and you're shaking, and you have to hit the continue button, or it does actually saw you in half.
Yeah, that was a good one. I vaguely remember it. That reminds me of a game, and I don't know that you could find this in the wild without purchasing the old arcade. But there was a Alien versus Predator arcade game. 4 players on the screen. I believe it was 4 players. I could be wrong.
It's
But
3 actually, and you have the ROM, and you can play as you can play as Hunter Predator, you can play
yep,
as regular Predator, and you can play as 2 humans.
that's right. Yes, yes. That game was so good. Like so good. I would love to find, and I don't know. I bought one of these little aftermarket, like knockoff PlayStation Vita looking things. Um, yeah, but it was supposedly had that ROM on it, and it doesn't. I know that it's a Capcom published game, but
If you
dude,
need that ROM, I will give it to you next time I see you. I have that ROM.
oh, you got it downloaded?
I have it. I actually have it on one of my Chinese knockoffs that I bought from Amazon for a cool 100, which I have a ton of ROMs that I was missing for Sega CD, thanks to China. So thank you, China, for giving me every Sega
Mm.
CD ROM I didn't have because I really wanted to play the Power Rangers again because I loved Amy Jo
Dude,
Johnson, the original
yes.
Pink Ranger, and that's the only Power Ranger that I actually know their real name outside of Tommy, who is Jason, whoever, and that's just because he was a
Jason
badass.
David Frank,
Yeah,
Yep.
he was just a
Jason David
badass.
Frank, Austin St. John. Yeah, no, so you don't even want to get me on the Power Ranger
Dude,
subject.
that was such a good game too, man. Such a good game, dude. If you could link me the little aftermarket machine you bought, I'd love. Just send me the link. I might
Yeah,
purchase it
man, I'll,
myself.
I'll send it to you because it had a ton on there. And then,
Oh,
like I
so
said, I
cool.
mean, I can copy if you bring me or if I see next time I see you, I get a SD memory card. I'll just copy all the
Yeah,
ones that you may not have, dude, and put them on there. But it's totally worth it, man. And I got the one with the 4 players because when you talked about the 4 players, I had just recently played that. And when you want to talk about 4-player games or arcade games outside of Alien versus Predator, did you play Captain Commando, where you can play as like the baby and the robot, the ninja, Captain Commando himself, and then you play as a mummy?
oh man, I don't think I've ever played that one.
Dude, that's one of the best Capcom fight and beat 'em ups ever existed, and they actually just did that like in a thing
That
online.
collection is it
Yes, a
on there?
collection where you can
Oh,
actually
sweet.
play online with other people, and it's one of the best freaking. I remember playing. Dude, I used to when people say, "Oh, I used to walk 10 miles to school," I literally walked 5 miles to Stop and Go which is like a gas station back in the day, to play that game, and only had 50 cents. So I actually either had to be good or I'm walking home really damn quick. Because this is like before, like like everybody had like a console in their house. Like now you ain't got to go nowhere because everybody has a console in their house. But arcade games back then, you can get a replica of those. So I would go to Stop and Go, and I would play Captain Commando, and I would play as the ninja, or I'd play as the baby, because the baby. Did you play Final Fight?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay, so the baby's move set is Haggard's from the Final Fight. So when he grabs you, he does the pile driver, just like Haggard does.
Love it, dude. I love it. That's so cool. That's so freaking cool. Oh man. All right, Zach, you're up. Any other Grail games you want to mention?
Yep. Modern Warfare 2, but kind of I guess it's a game and a console combo. The limited edition Xbox 360.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. I would love one of those, like complete too. Not like just the console and missing the controller, like the console, the original game that came with it. Because so they did it back in the day like they do it now. If you buy a game with a console that actually comes with like a physical copy, it'll say not for resale on it.
Right. Yep.
So like the original game that came with it, the controller, the hard drive, the whole nine. Like if I could find all that together, man, because like I said, those are some of the games that got me into shooting games, because we've talked about it before. I was a kid playing platformers in Pokemon when I first started gaming, so I didn't really have too much experience with anything outside of that. And then, like I said, they just took that one time sitting down playing Halo with a buddy, and I was like, oh my god, I'm in love.
I'm in. Yeah, dude, Derek, our good friend from back in the day, he picked up that Modern Warfare 2 console, and I watched him. You remember back when the first wave of Xbox 360s, if you moved the console with a disc in it, it would eat your disc.
Yep. It got
ring right. He moved his console at my house one day and ate his Halo 3, I think it was. Yeah, ate his Halo 3 disc. Yep.
F in the chat, please.
All the F's in the chat. That was a dope console. And that's something else, too, that over the years, one of my biggest regrets was selling my Gears of War Xbox 360. I absolutely love that thing. I loved it, but I sold it.
Was that the red one?
Yeah, not because they did a 360 and they did Xbox One, which both are some of the most beautiful bad A consoles I've ever seen. So they're freaking dope. Awesome. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna jump in and read some of these comments from the South Carolina Video Game Exchange group that we have. All right. I put in there. I just kind of wanted to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you guys looking for when it comes to Grail games? Because this group was started to buy, sell, and trade, video games amongst each other. So Terry Johnston writes in, he says that he's not really looking for games so much as he's trying to find consoles. His Grail console will be the Pokemon Battle Set Nintendo 64 Complete. Have you guys seen that?
Nope. I have no idea what he's talking about.
No idea what
Look up the Pokemon Nintendo 64. That thing, I am not a Pokemon person, but that thing is cool. I saw one for $300 the other day, and it's freaking awesome. So I love special consoles. I think that anytime that they do a special console, they're just freaking next level cool.
I've seen something like this, but it was the Pikachu edition. It had a similar colorway, but yeah, that is pretty neat. Okay, because that was the console that came with the original Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So a good friend of ours, Tyler Owens, writes in, says Guitar Hero #1, but he would give his left nut for Warriors of Rock with all the instruments. Giving out that nut.
Yeah. That seems achievable. There are so many Guitar Heroes floating around. Like and like people like keep them.
Find one that's actually in good condition though, because people really rough those things up.
I just found some really questionable condition guitars. Not this past flea market trip, but the one before it. And I got 2 guitars for $8, and one of those guitars is the red Xbox 360 Fender Mustang guitar. They're selling on eBay between $50 and $75, man. And I think it was Rock Band 3, as a matter of fact. It was a Rock Band guitar. So I actually hooked my brother up with it. I traded one into a local game store to pick myself up a Lego game, a Lego Vita game I was missing, and I hooked my brother up with the other one, man. And he's compiling the entire Rock Band setup. He never had the keytar, so he's trying to find the keytar right now. So that's definitely
that'd be pretty dope, honestly.
Yep. So Talon Covington writes in. He says he's looking for Grandia HD collection on the Switch or Grandia 2 for PS2.
Okay.
Did you guys ever play the Grandia games?
I did
Great
not.
games. Great.
Never played them, but I've heard lots of good things. And of course, Talon, spoilers, he's my cousin. So he's talked about it a lot. And he goes to the flea market too and looks for stuff. He's always trying to find stuff with me. So, but all right, Adam Stapleton.
On the Dreamcast as well, right? Or was
maybe
just part 1 was on the Dreamcast?
Maybe. I've never looked it up. I've never played any of those games. And see, part of what is so fascinating to me about this conversation and having this group, and bringing you on, Thomas, is like I'm learning about games that have existed forever that I didn't know about. Like you don't sell yourself short, man. When you open your mouth, you start spitting gaming knowledge. And it's awesome. You're digging out some gems and you're talking about some crazy cool stuff. And I'm over here sitting back like, yes, preach. Let's go. There's some crazy stuff out there I didn't experience. And then having this video game group, like no one said the things that I was expecting, like I'll give you an example. Adam Stapleton, writes in. He says stone protectors for the SNES. He used to have a complete in the box copy, and he foolishly sold it. So I want to give a shout out to Adam. He's joined the group recently. He's done a little bit of streaming. I watched him play that new Terminator game. That game looks great. But you know what? Like stone protectors.
One, correct?
Yes. It looks really good. Terminator Resistance, I believe it is.
Yep. That's what we were talking. Yep. I heard us talking about that the other day.
Yep. I've never played stone protectors. That's just, it's cool hearing someone talk about a game that means something to them that exists that I've never played, But that is exciting. That is super exciting. All right. And then I want to make sure I say his name right. Vicat Mauricio. I hope I didn't butcher your name too bad, brother. He put the original Mirror's Edge on all systems, and then Fallout 3 will be another one. So I love that. That's something I do. I like to collect games, and I don't just want to have the game. I want to have it on all systems. I'll give you an example. I own Silent Hill Homecoming, and I was like, man, I made a deal with a buddy of mine named Caleb. Shout out to Caleb. I don't know if he listens to the show very often, but he's a reseller that I've just recently met, and we've been going out hunting together. And he picked up Silent Hill Homecoming. So I was like, hey, I'll make a deal for that. And I actually traded him a Pokemon game for Silent Hill. I think he got a little bit better of the deal than me, but I didn't have that version on Xbox 360, And I'm like, sure, I can make a couple extra dollars, or I can go pick this game up right now. And I did.
And for those not familiar with Homecoming, that is the remake, correct?
It was the Xbox 360, PS3. It wasn't a remake as much as it was a bit of an offshoot. I think they were trying to go the reimagining version. That's not the Shattered Memories. That was the quote remake of the first game. But Homecoming was something a little bit different. It's not a fan favorite, but I didn't have it on Xbox 360. So now I had it on PS3 and Xbox 360. So we met up at the local flea market, right? We made our little trade deal. And then by the time we were done on the last aisle, we walked together. I picked up a near mint version of Silent Hill Homecoming on PS3 for $5.
Nice.
So I was like, man, well, I got an extra copy I can sell now and make the difference back on our trade deal. So it was good. I haven't sold it yet. I actually ended up just keeping it. So now I've got 2 copies. See, that's the problem with being a reseller and a game collector. You're not going to be good at both. You're going to be good at one or the other.
You're sampling your own product. That's
right. Don't get high on your own supply.
You would love the. I had because you said you have everything Resident Evil. I just recently I had 2 of the. I don't know if you remember this, but if you had pre-ordered Resident Evil 4 for the original GameCube, it came with the making of the game and a demo of the game. And I had both of those, and I had just recently sold those off like about, I'd say half a year ago, because I had 2 versions of it. It was just stuff that was just hanging around, and the wife got on me. It's like, hey, you got all this stuff sitting around your game room, and I've never seen you play this and all this other stuff. But I'm assuming that's one thing you are missing out of your collection for Resident Evil.
So yes, and I'll tell you a little story. All right, same instance. When my house burnt down years ago, I had the Resident Evil on GameCube Collector's Edition in the steel tin. They only had made like 49,000 of them, and I had that. I had the GameCube chainsaw controller. All that stuff.
Oh, the chainsaw controller. Oh,
yes,
man.
yes. I still have the PS2 chainsaw controller. I bought that years and years ago. I bought that off somebody. But unfortunately, the GameCube one, I had it. I had all that stuff. And my house burned down. And then so when the house, when it was all said and done, and they had done, put the basically the giant pile of ashes out, because nothing was left. Everything was lost. We were digging through the ashes of the area that was my room, and I found the remnants of that steel case, that tin steel book. But so it took me years to finally get one, and I ended up getting it for about $44, I believe. But I got the GameCube version in a steel book, all that. I have not gotten the controller again. I don't know that I will. I had a bite on one a while back for $100, but I don't know. I've got the PS2 controller. So I got that one for $40 off of a GameStop employee one time. So that was pretty cool. But it's still in the case and everything, man. It's really awesome. You
were talking about wrestling earlier and talking about the 2012 WWF game. There's a wrestling game for the GameCube that just came to mind. Do you remember the Def Jam's wrestling game?
I don't remember the wrestling game, but I remember Def Jam Vendetta and Fight for New York.
Yeah, it's Def Jam's Vendetta, but it's more or less a wrestling game.
And yes, it really was.
And it's basically the successor to Ica's or AKI, No Mercy. And it had all these super awesome rappers like DMX, God rest his soul.
Yep.
Of course, Method Man, Redman. And I'm looking at it right now, actually. And I just always love that game. And to me, for some people, that is like a holy grail of games because it's something that you love. And it's just, music-wise, it had some good tracks in it. But think of all the rappers that were actually like legit stars. If they were to do that same game today with today's rappers, like, yeah, I'm gonna make my created character and kick the shit out of every one of these mumble-ass jackasses.
That's right. That is 100% correct, man. Yeah, it had some really good talent on there. It was an amazing game. I played the absolute fool out of Def Jam Vendetta and Def Jam Fight for New York, man. I loved it. I still love that game. I don't own it anymore. That's another game. Hey, guess what?
But Icons was not very good at all. Not to be mean, but Def Jam's Icon, the last one that was on 360, was just horrible. I don't know what they were thinking with that one.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I just picked it up today. It's still worth some money.
Yeah,
I've never. Nope.
Okay, give it a shot, man, and let me know what you think, man. Because again, I'm basing off of how I felt about New York and Vendetta, and this.
I've never played a single Def Jam game.
Dude,
oh man, you're missing out on the story for both the first two, especially with your created character, is super awesome. But the basically Icons really had no story whatsoever.
Yeah, they're good games, dude. I absolutely adored those games. But again, that's that particular era, the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox era. We had a house fire, took everything we had, and I had quite a game collection. As a matter of fact, I'll tell that story on the show one day because it's. I might have told it before, but
Did you have Piano 9?
Say what?
Did you have Piano 9?
That was on. Was that Xbox or PS2?
No, that was actually just a GameCube exclusive game only. It was from Capcom. It was a very niche game. It's like she danced when she fight, and it was like a shooter style. As a PN09.
I'm looking it up now. It seems familiar. I don't think I ever owned it. I vaguely can remember that cover.
But when you talk about GameCube games and you talk about Holy Grail of GameCube games, Eternal Darkness.
Yes, I had that one. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. No, I never had Piano. It's
From,
Piano 3.
Piano 3. I'm sorry.
All
From
good.
Silicon Knights.
Yep, that was a good one. I had Eternal Darkness. That was awesome. So there's another thing. I had the Fatal Frame games. Those are games on my list now that I'm looking for because I lost them in a house fire and never got them back.
Which one? Crimson Butterfly, the second one, or the original one, which is loosely based off a true story?
So I don't own any of the Fatal Frame games physically. I own the first two on the PlayStation Network on PS3. They were the PS2 downloadable games or whatever. So I got those. I've got Siren, all that stuff. But I used to have all those games physical, So it's kind of one of those things to where some of these more valuable, more rare horror games I'm always looking for. But I understand that, it's gonna be hard to find, especially
Now,
I don't
what
want
about
to
that
pay.
horror game that I shared with you on the website? The was it Externals, or it was a Sony game? It was actually made by Sony themselves, and it was a horror space sci-fi.
I don't remember. We talked about it.
I think it was Experiment or something another, but it's a Sony
Experiment was
based.
one.
Yeah, I think it's Experiment or something like that. But yeah, it's Sony based horror horror game, sci-fi. And I played the hell out of that game, dude. I really loved that game. That game was just like a weird. I wish I knew what studio did it. It was really good.
Another game. This is not horror, but it just makes me think about it. PlayStation games that you just don't see very often. And Zach, I don't know if you ever played this one. It was a PS2 game called The Getaway.
Awesome.
It sounds
And
familiar.
it also had a PSP game as well.
Yes, gosh, dude. So I would love to find that in the wild.
It was Getaway 1 and 2, and then the PSP game was very good for it. And I think it was one of the earlier PSP games, and the controls were really damn good for a PSP game back when PSP games had a very bad control. That was awesome. That is a Holy Grail game.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, it's so funny because I've got one of my Grail games for PSP. It's called The Third Birthday. It's the third Parasite Eve game.
Oh yeah,
that was
getting ready to remake that one, right?
I don't know, man. They said that was an NFT thing that they're rolling out. So I don't know if we're really gonna. I think that we're gonna get it, but we just don't know for fact yet. But yeah, dude, I picked up Third Birthday in the wild years ago, and that's another one that was just one of those weird ones that was like a PSP exclusive game, but you said just weird control schemes, and I'm like, the game is it's weird because you got a thumbstick on one side, but then you scroll left and right, or your vision's left and right based on the face buttons, and it's always been a weird thing. So
now for the PSP version of the third birthday, was that still turn based, or did they actually change it to an action style?
It's like a third person
I don't remember
action.
playing that one.
Yep, it's not bad. It's a little more on the sci-fi side of things than it is horror. The first two games were a little more Final Fantasy meets Resident Evil. Turn-based RPGs. The Getaway Black Monday, that was another one. But the Third Birthday is a little more third-person action, so it's not terrible. You can get it digitally on the Vita, and I don't think you can play it on PS3 though. So you either have to play it on PSP or PS.
But you want to know what a Holy Grail game is that people probably never play because the controls are really bad? Killer 7 from Saluda Games for PlayStation 2.
Yes, that's a good one.
Killer
really good one.
7 was just so weird and out of the park. And it was like one of those games that was just weird for the sake of being weird. Imagine like a hitman that's trapped in a wheelchair and he's not really trapped in a wheelchair, but he is trapped in a wheelchair because that's one of his many. Spoiler alert, I'm giving 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the game is old as dirt, so it shouldn't be a spoiler alert by this time. That's one of his many 7 different personalities where he's actually a sniper in a freaking wheelchair.
Dude, Suda games are so good.
Well, they're weird for the sake of being weird. Like even The Killer is Dead is awesome if you
I love
remember
that
that one. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
Lollipop Chainsaw, which they are
Yep.
redoing.
Yep.
So, it's just they're weird for the sake of being weird, but sometimes I think like the best controls that they had was Lollipop Chainsaw. And remember, what's the guy? James Gunn actually worked on Lollipop
Yep.
Chainsaw with them.
Yep. Sure
Who
did.
does the Guardian of the Galaxy movies? And
Which is funny because if you look at James Gunn's Harley Quinn and then you look back at the chick from Lollipop Chainsaw, there's a lot of similarities there.
they should have made Lollipop Chainsaw into a movie. That would have been a great like B movie. I mean, there are a ton of good B movies, man. If you ever do a podcast on B movies, you should have me on, man, because I have so many great B movies.
Oh,
And then
yeah, same.
80s action movies. If you like medieval movies that are kind of weird, look up Sword and the Sorceress. I don't know if you ever saw that before.
I haven't.
Okay, just look it up, Sword and the Sorceress. And it is super cool to be as old as it is. It's probably like I think an 82 or an 84. I'm assuming you saw Beastmaster because everybody's seen Beastmaster.
Oh yeah.
And of course Excalibur because that's like the gold standard for weirdo. But yeah, look up Sword and the Sorceress, man. You'd really love it. And then I don't know if you saw the last fan edit of Dune. I think Frank Herbert's book Dune is the greatest ever book, in my personal opinion, just because I grew up loving that bad movie of the David Lynch's original Dune. But they did a last fan edit a couple of years ago of Spice Divers where they took all the deleted scenes from that movie from the 80s. And because if you just watch the theater version of it, it is just horrible if you've never read the books and you know nothing about the books or anything like that. But the last version that Spice Divers did, and next time I see you, I will give you a digital version of that, and you can check it out for yourself. Unbelievably clean and unbelievably good, and I love the Dune series so much that I actually went into secondhand Charles and paid for them brand new all the illustrated books of those, the illustrated comic books of those, even though I actually have the audiobooks. And when we talk about, I know I got off topic, and I apologize. But when you talk about Holy Grail of games that you love, of something that you love, where you have a copy of it for every system, I feel that way about Super Dimension Fortress Macross / Robotech. I have Robotech Battlecry for the Game Boy Advance, for the GameCube, for the Xbox 3, for the original Xbox, and for the original PlayStation 2. I think I got for PlayStation 2. I don't remember, but I had every version of Robotech Battlecry. And then when it came to the Dreamcast, I have every Super Dimension Fortress Macross because I loved Robotech that much, and I always felt like the music in it, even though the music was cheesy and like super poppy 80s corny bullcrap, I always loved it, man. Like even my wife, like anytime I watch Robotech and she hears Lin Min May singing, she's like, "Why are you listening to this trash?" And I'm like, "Because I grew up loving this trash, and I think Robotech is awesome." And again, if anybody here's ever watched Robotech or Super Dimension Fortress Macross, um, it's just like the songs are easy to listen to. They're cheesy as can be, but you love them because they're trying to tell a story.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. So I got so you mentioned B movies. Did you ever watch The Wishmaster?
I believe I did, but I don't consider that a B movie. That's that because that costs a lot of money to produce, correct?
It did, but when it first came out, I actually think it was a Dimension film as well. So, but when it first came out, we owned a video store when I was growing up,
Nice.
and that was kind of my dad's thing, was B movies. So like Bushmaster technically at the time, qualified. I don't even remember what the standards were, but I was like, I remember him saying, "Hey, I got this B movie we got to check out."
And that's
We used to get
Macaulay Culkin, correct?
Let me look. Let's see. Wishmaster MDB. I know they did like 4 of them.
Or was at least a blonde-haired kid.
This was with a guy.
Oh, okay.
Andrew DeVoff. He was the Djinn, the genie.
Okay.
And then you had Tammy Lauren was the main chick or whatever. Either way, you got to watch that one. The second and third one were kind of crap compared. Second one was decent enough, but Wes Craven actually presented it. So I guess technically the first one's not a B movie, but the rest of them were.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Page Master, and you. I'm sorry. So my apologies, but I know which one you're talking about now. When you said Wes Craven, I'm like, oh, I know. All right, I got those mixed up. But man, if you want the best B movie ever devised, that's a montage that's basically maybe 20 minutes, and it is so freaking funny because it's so. You ever watch something so stupid that it's unbelievably funny?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Terrifier.
The movie is called Party Animal. Okay, it's about like some hick goes to college. He's from like Alabama or something. He's got the Southern flag on him or whatever, and the whole premise. If there's any children listen, I apologize in advance, and maybe we'll cut this. He's just trying to get a piece of what, and so he's doing all this stuff. Just like, I'd sell my soul for it. And there's this beautiful blonde that comes up out of nowhere. So there's one part in the movie, and I'm gonna spoil it. I don't care. I'm gonna spoil it because it's the old SP movie, where he goes to this black nightclub, and he just walks on in, and he drops the N-word. And then all the music stops. Everybody's looking at him, and he like pushes some black dude out of the way. It's like, "Excuse me, brother. Hound dog ain't running with the pack tonight." It's like gather around, take a look. The hound dog wrote the book, because he's calling himself the hound dog. Like, I'm a man, I'm a brother, and all these black guys are all surrounding him. And it's like, I'm a honky. And they all beat the living hell out of him. It's probably the funniest part in the whole movie, man. And if you like bad, like I said, B-80 movies, there's a bunch of fake, let's just say women upper parts, and you're going to see a lot of those throughout that movie. And literally, it's just a montage movie of tons of just music and those things I just mentioned just a second ago. But it's so freaking bad that it's funny. And there's a part where he's talking to a girl in a picnic, and she's like, I'm a thespian. He's like, "You're a lesbian?" "No, I'm a thespian." And for those who don't know what a thespian is, that is the correct pronunciation of an actress.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds really funny. Yeah, we'll definitely have a B movie conversation one night, because that we could go forever with that one. What I want to do real fast before we get out of here, because we are approaching the end of our time together. I did have one more write in that I wanted to share. Andrew Hutter wrote in and said that he is looking for Donkey Kong 3 sealed, like brand new in the package.
For the NES?
Yep. He said that was his absolute favorite game growing up, and he would love to find that one in the wild, completely like brand new.
Okay, OG Donkey Kong 3. I was like, wait a minute. Not Donkey Kong Country 3, right?
Nope, no, OG Donkey Kong. And
I think I've seen that at Old School Gamers, man. I'll have to go by there tomorrow and take a look.
That would be, there you go. And then earlier you talked about a Deep Space horror game produced by Sony.
Yes.
Actually, the developers were called Deep Space, and the game was called Extermination.
There we go. Bingo.
Yep. So, and it is a survival horror game, and I've never played that one. So
I
guess
have
we just
played it
got added to the list.
numerous times, and it was super awesome. You're going to enjoy that game a lot, man. It's really good.
I got one more, and then we do really got to get out of here. Do you remember the game Carrier on Dreamcast?
I own that game, and I played it about a month and a half ago.
Oh man, that was a good one. That was a good one. So that's another one that I lost when my house burned down. So I could go on forever about those. But guys, thank you so much for coming on here, talking shop, talking Grail games. If you're listening to the show, write in. Whether you write in through the Facebook group, whether you go into the Discord, or whether you go and leave a comment on the YouTube version of the show, please let us know what your Grail games are. Let us know what you're looking for, and I would love. This is a perfect world for me, right? For if people listen to the show, they write in what they're looking for, and then I find them in the wild. I would love to find people's Grail games in the wild. So, Thomas, always a pleasure, man. I really, really have enjoyed having you on, man. This has been really awesome. Thank you so much for all your knowledge, and thank you so much for just everything you contributed tonight. We really appreciate having you here.
Hey, thank you for having me on. You can find me at SaberRider13 on Twitch. Also, just to give another shout out to the Dreamcast. And when you mentioned horror games, let's give a big shout out to Dead Rising and the king of Dead Rising, believe it or not, because you mentioned Dreamcast, Blue Stinger. Blue Stinger was super awesome, and I love that game to this day.
Yep. I've never finished that game. I played it like once or twice back in the day. Never finished it. So that's a dope one. All right. And then Zach, thank you so much, man, for being a part of the Loot Bros. Thank you so much for coming on here, talking shop. And thank you for encouraging me to dig into our little competition. This has been really good. This has been fun. Like, I go to the flea market, I go hunting, I do a little bit of flipping, but having these challenges to look forward to has really just given me, I swear, it's like helping me work through my week. It's like I got all this mortgage stuff to do, but I was like, man, I can't wait to get out there and freaking hunt for some video game. I can't wait. So super stoked. Glad we're doing this. So, all right. If you're listening, please check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube, check out the socials, check out the merchandise. Get your loved one a Loot Bros Poop Sock t-shirt because everybody needs one. So, thank you guys again for coming on. This has been the Loot Bros Podcast, and we're out of here.
Peace, love, and chicken grease.
Yeah.
Myself, reach down and rescue me, can't nobody else. No! Nobody else can do the things that you can do for me. Nobody else can truly break these chains and set us free. Look around like we did you 730 days, thinking this is all my life is really gonna be. You better take a step back and you'll see